Welcome! This is another episode of Android Programming. We'll be looking at the Android Barcode API. The Barcode API detects barcodes in real time on device in any orientation. It can also detect multiple barcodes at once. It automatically parses QR codes, data matrix, PDF 417, and Aztec values. It supports multiple formats. We have it in URL. It supports the contact information, that's vCard, calendar events, email, phone, SMS, ISBN, that's for books, Wi-Fi, geolocation in latitude and longitude, and also driver license. We'll be heading straight to Android Studio, where we'll be integrating the source code to actually get us started with barcode. We'll be using some of the snippets from the Google repository, where we have that from the Android Vision. And the juicy part of this application will be focused when we're going to handle different data results from each barcode scan. So you'll be wondering, how are we going to actually extract probably an address, an email from the vCard barcode? We're actually going to be using that, and we'll be showing you on how to actually get that done. Right there in the Android Studio, in the build Gradle, you have to include the dependency, the Play services, the version 11.4.2, very important. And you also need to upgrade your Google Play services from the Android SDK and the Google support repositories. You could include the Android support design 26 and above, or based on the version of SDK you're running. After doing that, you sync Gradle and set your application ready. In the layouts, you basically create two layout files: the activity main, which is for the launcher, and the barcode capture, which is actually going to handle the camera capture, the snapshots, and so on, and even the barcode grip. Right there in the activity main, we have it set up. It's basically a relative layout where you have an instruction to click and read barcode, and you have the toggle button for autofocus, and you use flash. Probably you want to take a screenshot or a snapshot in a dark environment. You could use your flash, and a button to read the barcode. So we have the text view for the instruction, and we have an invisible text views here, two of them, which you actually speed out the data that we'll be getting from the barcode. Just two. And we're actually going to be incorporating a toast as well for the list array. We have the barcode value as an ID, and the contact title as another ID for the two text view that will be populating with the barcode metadata. Right on the button, you have that set up, and the check bars. This should actually be below the text view, which is the content title. Cool. You have that set up this way. That's the checkbox, which is for the autofocus, and also for the use flash, if you really want to use flash or you want to use autofocus. So you have that set up right there. Right there in the barcode capture, this right there, a linear layout, and it's calling the view. This is like a custom view, which is actually pointing out the camera source preview and also the graphic overlay. These are just out of the box from Google, which you can actually use. It's actually going to call the camera intent, and it's going to give you an environment to take a snapshot, and a click on the barcode scan. We're actually going to pick up that ID, and it's actually going to extract the data needed from that particular ID. So that's just what the graphic overlay and the camera source preview will be doing. So you have that set up in the barcode capture. After this, I'll be heading straight to the Java classes, and I won't be talking deep into how the camera capture is actually going to be initialized. The major focus here will be the capture activity, which handles the camera display, where you're going to actually add permissions to actually get them done, and the main activity where we're going to actually pass those data. How we're going to actually decode if the QR code that we're scanning is actually a contact information or is actually a calendar event QR code. Are you going to be able to determine if you've actually scanned an ISBN QR code or an ISBN barcode? So you're actually going to actually undo that logic right in the main activity. So I'll be heading straight to the barcode capture activity, which calls on the barcode capture XML, and we'll be looking at how the permissions were being asked and how you've been undo them gracefully, and the call to the different camera source. This extends our compact activity and it implements the barcode graphic tracker, calling the update listener. So you have that set up, and this is where you pass the constants for the autofocus to use flash, and the barcode object. You need an object that will point to different formats of the barcode. We have the camera source out of the box, and also the source preview with the graphic overlay. Won't be looking at that in details. You just have that right there in the onCreate method, where you need to initialize the necessary fields, and you read the parameters from the intent which was used to launch this particular activity. You get the boolean extra, that's from the autofocus, and from the flash, that is if you actually check any one of them, that's an intent that will trigger that. Is it true or false? So you have that in boolean. Cool. And you check the camera permission before accessing the camera. If the permission is not granted yet, you request the permission. You call the request camera permission method, which you have right there, sitting right there. And the snack bar actually is going to use like an instruction to tell you to tap to capture, or pinch and stretch to zoom. So you actually be instructed to take an action. In the request camera permission, this handles the requesting of the camera permission, which include the showing a snack bar message of why the permission is needed when then you send a request. So it is actually going to call on the manifest permission camera, and the reason why it's needed, which is access to the camera is needed for detection. You actually need the camera permission granted before you could actually take a snapshot of the QR code or barcode. So you have that set up, and you need to also create and start the camera. Note that this uses a high resolution in comparison to other detection examples to enable the barcode detector to detect small barcodes at long distances, where you need to create the camera source, and the barcode detector is created to track the barcodes. This detector is very important. You might also need to declare the targeted format. Probably you're only targeting the contact information or URL, and you might declare them here. But if you really want to target the broad scope, you just leave it in default, which you will actually get any format for you. So you actually set up your detector this way, calling the builder on it, and you test if it's operational. If it's not operational, there will be a kind of check for low storage. If there's a low storage, probably the native library will not be downloaded, so detection will not become operational. So if it has a low storage, it's actually going to give you a toast that probably you need to filter out some of your storage and get that set up. So you create and start the camera with the camera builder, set the facing to the camera, and set the requested preview as well. So you have to do that, and make sure that the autofocus is an available option for you. So you set the focus mode, and this is for the flash. These are the two modes that you actually needed if you actually check for any one of them, autofocus, and when you're using flash, you undo them as well. On resume and on pause. On resume, you start the camera source, and when you stop, probably pause the activity, the preview is going to stop. And on destroy as well, you need to release the camera so that another activity can actually, or another application that uses camera can have access to use the camera once you have destroyed or you are not using the application. So it's a good standard to always release unused resources. So you have that set up. And on request permission result, this is a callback for the results from the permission when you actually are granting the camera permission, and you need to handle the callbacks as well, and set that up using the alert dialog builder, setting the message this application cannot run because it does not have the camera permission. So you need a camera permission, and you need to actually handle the permission request gracefully. So you have that set up, and there's a sort of calculation where you need, once you tap to return the tap barcode result of the calling activity, a kind of mathematical calculation here, which gets the tap point in preview and in frame coordinates. So it's actually in X and Y coordinates, and you can actually take your barcode scan in different orientation, even if you're tilting, if you're on the X axis. So it's actually going to still capture what you needed for. So that's all about the barcode capture activity. Fine, this is working and you've actually set that ready. Now you need to generate the results. What results are you expecting? Are you going to pass this result? Are you going to display? Are you going to save? At least there's an essence for you using a barcode, is to actually get an information, and you actually do that right in the main activity. In the main activity, this extends the activity, or you can extend the app compact activity as well. It implements the click listener, since you're going to actually trigger a button, and also toggle the autofocus and the flash. In the create method, we initialize the fields we needed. Now we call on the status message, the barcode value, the content title. These are from the activity main XML, which we'll be using. The same thing goes with the autofocus and the use flash. You actually need to initialize those fields. And in the onClick method of the button, this triggers the barcode capture activity class, and you have to put an extras because that activity will be expecting an intent extra, either on the autofocus if it's checked or not, or on the flash if it's also checked or not. So it starts the activity for result and passing the integer, which is the barcode capture unique integer. That's fine. That's going to actually trigger the barcode capture activity to do the barcode capture. Now you're going to call an activity for results, which you need to pass the request code, the result code, and the intent data. This is the result you're getting after a successful call of this intent, because this intent actually called an activity for result, so it's expecting a result. It's not just a permanent intent that actually let's say finishes the calling activity. That's why I use the start activity for results, which will be expecting some data back. So you need to actually undo that as well by overriding the on activity result, passing the 3 parameters I mentioned. And now this is the juicy part of it. This is where you'll be able to detect which format and how to also pass those data appropriately. Now you test if the result code, the request code, is the captured barcode integer, and if the result code now is success, you need to undo that. And if the data, which is the intent data, if it's not null, if it has some data, some values, these are some check that you need to do. Now you go further to get the pass label extra from the capture activity. based on the barcode object you're passing in. So you actually need to pass that right there to the barcode class. So there's a barcode object which has data for you. So this is what you actually need to decompile further. Now you need to test to check the value format. Which format is the barcode coming at? Which format of data is the barcode returned? So you have to actually pass the value format to the barcode and save that right there in an integer. Call it type or data type or anything you feel like. You can give that a name. Now you will use a switch statement to iterate through this type to actually detect which type are you talking about. We can use an if statement, but that will be unduly long because the Barcode API comprises of multiple formats: the URL, contact information, calendar events, and so on. Now this type will actually pinpoint on which value format is being returned. Firstly, the first case, if it's the barcode contact info, probably the barcode scan was a contact info, a vCard. That's the first case. You can go further to do some stuff with the data there. The second one, if it's an email, you can see that. This is juicy aspect. If it's an ISBN, a phone, for a product, SMS, text, URL, a Wi-Fi, geolocation, and calendar events, driver license. You can see a wide range of formats that the Barcode API covers. So that's quite cool. So you could actually detect which barcode or which QR code was scanned. Now we are pointing at just one for an example. We want to decompile further to extract the necessary values. Now if the contact info, probably the barcode you scanned is the contact info, we want to get some values from there. You call the contact info emails based on the barcode object that you've actually created, which has values. That's the object. Now you need to point at the contact infos. Now we are pointing at an email. That's the email of the probably the user or the owner of the vCard. This comes in an array because you might have multiple emails. You might have more than one email address assigned to a vCard. So that's why it's coming in an array, and you need to actually handle it gracefully as well. And it's pointing at a particular class called the barcode email. So you have that in brackets, an array, and the name of the array called set. So right there, for you to be able to go further and get some values from an array, you need to create a loop. You need to iterate through the array and extract the values. So that's why you have the for loop here to actually loop through the array. The first argument is started from an index of 0. Cool. An array starts from an index of 0, and the argument itself is if the first index is less than the length of the array. So if the length might be 4, so it's continue to iterate, and an addition of 1 will continue to do. So this will get to false once the I, which is the counter variable, gets ahead or above the length. So it's going to terminate at that point in time. During the course of the loop, you'll be extracting the values. The first set is the address. This is where you now point to the appropriate data format. Is it the address you're calling at, or you're calling at some other format? What are you calling at? You might also call at the body. Probably you want to push the email now, but you actually don't need the body, you don't need the subject, you don't need the type of the email. The only thing you need is the email address of that vCard. So you point at the address. Cool. And at this point in time, it's an array, and you need to actually add that to a list or to an array list. So that's why you have that added up to this particular list of string that was created. So you can actually go further to speed that out, probably in an adapter or in another format. You can't set a text. You can't set it directly to a text view because it's going to actually, it can be of multiple values, which couldn't actually fit well with a text view. So it's actually going to fit well with an adapter, with a list view, and something, or with a recycler view. So that's all about decompiling and going further to extract the values you need from this particular object of the contact info. Now we just toast this, since the toast can still work, to actually get the email address just popped out to us, since we are actually learning here, and that's cool for that. And we have for the organization, that's the organization of the user, the owner of the vCard, where is it working. This is in a string, so that's why you could set that with a text. And as well, the title, this is also in a string, that's why you could set that to text. That's the title. Now we have other formats as well, not only organization. Let's quickly look at other formats available to us. We have the name, but this is going to be in a person name format, so it's not going to be just a text. So if you're actually going to handle this, you are going to do it just the same process you've actually done here. Let me try to get that done so that we'll be able to see what we mean here. When you call the barcode, there's contact info, that persons, that's the name. Now it's going to trigger a line, but now you're going to call something of this nature, barcode dot person's name, which you give it as name equals to this. Cool. So you can see now you've been able to get an object of the person's name. So this name is what you now use as an identifier to that particular type. You can go further to say name. You can see now you can extract the first name, you can extract the last name, the middle name. So it depends on what are you actually pointing at. If you are pointing at the first name, you could say first, but you need to actually pass this also to a string. Since you can just do it this way, you can say first name. Cool. Can you see that? So you've extracted the first name of this particular user, of the particular vCard. Can you see the way you get to decompile further on the metadata of the results you're getting from the barcode object? So from this now you could easily set this to the title. Probably now we want to set this to first name. Instead of calling the barcode content title, you could easily just set this to first name. Cool. Now the title text view is going to spit out the first name of this particular owner of the vCard. You can concatenate the first name with the last name to have a full name, and you can do some others. You can even add the middle name if it's available. If not, it's going to omit it and continue with the other aspect of it. So you can go further to actually get more data about the barcode object that you actually get returned. So I'm actually creating an example based on the contact info. We have a lot of them that you can still do. An email, ISBN, phone, product. You can still get deeper to actually extract the values you need. So with this now, I'm very hopeful that you would have your hands ready to dive deeper into the use of the Barcode Android API. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'll be showing you the screencast so you could actually see the juicy aspect, how we've been able to extract some values. We'll scan a barcode and we'll get those values speeded out to the view. And in the manifest, you only need to add the camera permission. You don't need an internet permission here. Based on you still just extracting values locally. But if you're trying to now push those values, probably you are calling a URL, and you need to actually create a click on that link and not to calling to the calling address. You might need an internet permission here. so your application will be able to use an internet to pass that particular URL. So you could need that, but now for now you don't need an internet permission to make your barcode scanner work. You need a camera, hardware camera permission, so that's why you have to add the user's permission feature here. That's the feature you're using, and it's a camera feature, so you have that set up. And you would also need to lock in the metadata of the Google version, that's the GMS version they're using, and the dependencies of the GMS vision that you are also using. And we also used the barcode capture activity. That's another activity, a calling activity, which actually launches from the main activity. So with all this you set and ready, I will be happy to see a more complex barcode scanner which you create. And thank you guys for hanging out with me throughout this tutorial, and please leave a comment if you're finding some of my analysis not clear enough. I'll be there to answer all of your queries, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Have a lovely time. Bye bye.